May your spirit also be with the coordinators, our teachers that will be coordinating this session. Bless everyone who's yet to join in. That's our humble prayer. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
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 Thank you, Mr. Matthews. To start with our training or our seminar, I just want to welcome Pastor Africa from our sister conference, Northern Conference. He is
welcome or something.
please, can you please mute your audios, good people? Thank you very much. We want to welcome Pastor Africa from our sister conference, Northern Conference. He is leading as our youth director on that side, but on the junior side, we've been discussing this, I think, over a few months now, and then he's been willing to assist us. Eventually, we have managed to make time. Pastor, thank you very much for availing yourself to assist us here for this training that will be taking place, and then helping our senior youth site in TOC. Whatever that we are going to discuss here, whatever that you're going to share, I know it will be fruitful. Our leaders from churches in TOC, they've been having issues about what we are going to discuss today, because our senior side were not really informed and equipped about this, and then to help our youth on that side. So for you to come and yourself to assist us, we really appreciate it. Before you can even start, I just want to tell everyone who is here that we will make sure that this will be recorded, so that whatever that you will have to do in terms of writing and sending back the report, you won't say you missed out on certain things after this presentation. If there are any questions, they will take place. But above all, it will be recorded. So all of us, we will be safe, so that we can be able to execute and give a proper report when it's required by those who are assessing us in our different classes of SYL from different districts. Without wasting any time, Pastor Africa, this is your floor. Thank you very much.
Let's unmute. Thank you kindly, good sir. Thank you, Director, for allowing me the opportunity to share this presentation with your people. Thank you kindly. I'm going to ask if it's possible for me to have screen share abilities, and then I will also make a few house rules, announcements of some house rules. So first one is that you will receive, I will also send it to the pastor, but you will receive online, if you have the ability to download it, this outline of this workshop. You will have an outline, number one. Number two, you will get a worksheet attached to it. So there will be a worksheet for you that you can then fill in and send to your pastor. I don't need to see it. I'm just here to present. But the worksheet makes it easier for you to engage and interrogate the material that we'll do. I will also send the presentation. So nothing here is a secret. Our Adventist Society is not a secret society. We are here to share information. We are here to share with one another. So all the materials that I have compiled in such a way that it can be shared with everybody else, and you are welcome to share it far and wide. It is an area that is definitely needed to be discussed more within our church setup. So before I start, do I have any questions? Are there any questions? Sorry.
Before any questions, Pastor, Karabo said to me he has made you a host, so you can be able to turn it and share your screen. Thank you.
Thank you kindly. Thank you for that. Any questions, anything you would like to ask before we start? I'm going to talk for about an hour or so, give or take. a few minutes here and there, and then I will also open up for more questions. But as I said, it's very straightforward. It follows a certain pattern, and then from there you can go through it on your own, as well as I will be making the presentation available. Any questions? Am I audible? Are you able to see? I will put up the presentation in just a short while. Before I do that, I see people are still coming in. I do not want to miss anyone. Any questions? Are you all happy? Can we go ahead? Nobody is asleep. Good afternoon. Thank you for this. Thank you, Loveness. Nobody is asleep. Everybody is awake. We are going to go through this. It's very important. Where do we download the? Sorry, I have it in the chat room. It is in the chat. It's just, there you go. It is ready in the chat. However, I will also send it to the pastor, to Pastor Maichu. So he will have this, these documents. You will have 3 documents. One is a safety outline that just gives you an outline of this presentation. The second one is a worksheet. It's 2 pages, I think, and it just gives a breakdown with things to complete on that worksheet. You can actually take that worksheet, complete it, and send it or put it in your SYL file. It will serve as evidence of you completing this program. So, and then you will also get the presentation. Good afternoon to everyone. As you come in and you greet, we're very happy to have you. Pastor already welcomed everyone, and we had a prayer. So now I think we're ready, because no one is answering or asking any questions. I think we can just go into the presentation. Because once I'm in the presentation, I won't be able to see your questions. So please let me know if you would like to do that afterwards. I can accommodate you. Let me just share my screen at this stage as we start with our program. Here we are. I hope everyone is able to. Are you able to see my screen?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, we can.
Everything looks beautiful up there, Senior Youth Leader.
Yes.
This is
we can.
called Safety Planning and Insurance Workshop. This is what it's officially called. I hope you can see that loud and clear. And this, the requirement is to attend a union or conference-wide training on safety, planning, and insurance. So I think it'll be good for us to continue. So, introduction to church safety planning and insurance. If I have to ask anyone in your, without, I know I can leave that up there. You will do your own thing. Without reading what I have placed there, what in your mind is a safe church ministry? Anyone, please, quickly. I can't see you, so you can just talk. You know, as SYL, this is an interactive session, eh? Anyone out there? What in your mind is a safe church ministry? What does it look like? Yes?
Hello. For me,
Hi.
it's an environment where I'll feel safe and the people that I lead are safe.
Sorry, I missed half of that. I don't know if it's my connection.
Sorry. For me personally, it will be a safe environment to work with young people. That's a safe church ministry for me.
Okay. Okay, thank you. Anyone else? Just one more, then I'll continue. You can talk. I'm not able to see you, as I said. Okay.
It is
yes, bless. Yes, Nancy. Blessed.
I think
Oh,
it's a church. I think it's a church where there is no discrimination, whether language, culture, race, or age, and everyone is free to worship.
I love that. I love that. Thank you for that. Blessed.
Now, I was going to say a place where young people are able to air out their views without being marginalized or judged. A safe place where they can worship freely and they can air their views freely.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I'm going to ask, as you come in, please just mute yourself so we don't talk over each other. According to our GC, a safe church ministry refers to God honoring, abuse-free, harm-free, person-valuing, and respectful ministry. It is achieved as we fulfill and integrate our pastoral, legal, insurance, risk management, denominational, and ethical requirements of the church. Each of us are involved in pastoral, legal, insurance, risk management, denominational, and ethical requirements of our local churches. We can't say, oh, sorry, I'm not involved here. I'm not a leader. I'm not on the church board, so I'm not involved. Each of us are involved in these requirements in order to make our church safe. This includes the implementations. So what does it take to bring about a safe church ministry? It includes the implementations of policies and procedures in, and I will talk about this, duty of care, caring for vulnerable people, positions of power, codes of conduct, response to allegations and of ministry misconduct and or abuse, incidents of reporting, monitoring of practices, safe recruitment, supervision of leaders, and for the preparation and conducting of spiritually, emotionally, and physically safe church ministry. So it is a mouthful, but I'm going to break it down as we go through this presentation. As I said earlier on, I cannot at this time see or follow your chats. So I will have to wait until I'm done with the presentation to answer any question. So as we go through the introduction, let me start off with what the SDA, your church, statement is about safe churches. Seventh-day Adventists affirm the dignity and worth of each human being, as some of you mentioned earlier on in your understanding, and decry all forms of physical, sexual, and emotional abuse and family violence. What they also need to put in there is spiritual abuse, because that also falls in line with what we are discussing today. So your Adventist church, your church that you belong to, that you subscribe to, they have a beautiful statement, and that statement affirms the dignity of and worth of each human being. So whether race, creed, language, ethnicity, it affirms the dignity and worth of each human being in your church. Okay? So let me just move on. Then the Adventist Church also have a few other statements that coincides. Actually, they link to the safe church safety planning and insurance. And this is what it says. This Adventist statement on the nurture and protection of children, 2010 states, Seventh-day Adventists place a high value on children. So please, in front of Seventh-day Adventists, put the name of your church. Bosmont Seventh-day Adventist Church. Bosmont is my church. So you put your name, and then you need to evaluate whether or not your church places a high value on children. In the light of the Bible, they are seen as precious gifts from God and trusted to the care of parents, the care of family, the care of community of faith, and society at large. So it's difficult for me to say, oh, sorry, Blessed's child is not my child. Matthew's child is not my child. So it's none of my concern what they do. They have been entrusted by God into our care. Children possess enormous potential for making positive contributions to the church and to society. Attention to their care and protection and development is extremely important. Even though we have elders today, and I as a pastor of 25 plus years, I have to admit that many of our leaders overlook the importance of children or the significance of children in our churches today. Okay? So this statement outlines, this statement that I just read, outlines key strategies for safeguarding children and young people within our church environment. Number one, risk management to minimize the risk for child sexual abuse and violence. That is one key strategy outlined by that statement. Code of conduct that precludes even the appearance of evil. And I think many of us have a problem here. Careful supervision and monitoring of children, vital, something that we often neglect to do. And when I use the word children, I use it very loosely. According to our government, a child is from 0 to 18. That is still considered child. And so I am including up to the age of 18 because they fall under the South African law identified as children. Child protection education, very vital. We often do not even speak about it within our churches. Train personnel and specific protocols at conference and wider levels of the church. If you can recall, what are the protocols for child safety within your conference? Is it available? Is it known by all within the local church? So we're coming to section 1. And section 1 we will look at safe places. This section aims to develop the following awareness among each and every one of us. Number one, the biblical basis for safe places. Number two, the concept of duty of care. Remember, I mentioned duty of care earlier on. And then the relevant legislation that guides and underpins a safe church ministry. Okay, let's continue. Number one, vulnerable people. God's heart, by the way, is for vulnerable people. We see this expressed in him identifying 4 classes of vulnerable people. I should have asked you this as a test, but here it is. Widows are seen by God as vulnerable. The poor are seen by God as vulnerable. The orphans are seen by God as vulnerable. And the alien. Now, we don't use the word alien because it's an old term, but the foreigner within our environment is seen by God as vulnerable. And oftentimes we neglect all of these. We neglect these categories within our local church, even within our programming, within our planning for the church. We often overlook these vulnerable people. B, serving together in ministry. Church is fundamentally about the people. It is not about the activities or the events or the ministry programs that we have. Church is about people as the body of Christ. 1 Corinthians 12:27. We together are called to welcome all people, to make our church a safe place for them. Serving together, we are called to nurture people as SYL. We are called to nurture people, minister to them, enter into a relationship with them, protect them. And I need to qualify enter into a relationship. That doesn't mean when you see a good-looking young lady coming to church, you now need to establish a relationship, not in order to do other things or order to get other things, It's not that kind of relationship with benefits that I'm talking about here. I'm talking about a genuine interest in the person that's visiting, that's coming to your church. We might refer to these actions as sharing together in ministry as we exercise the gifts God has given us. It is vital that we nurture people. We are losing so many of our young people because there's no real nurturing happening. Oftentimes I feel we are out there to just use and abuse and see what we can get out of a relationship. And it's so sad. Oftentimes we enter or we target relationships, we target them specifically for what we can get out. We have a talented young person coming to church. Wow, the boy is gifted. The man he's well off. He seems to be into giving to the church, giving to the poor, giving, helping where he can, giving to this department. And often we start relationships because of what we can get out of that person that's joining the church, instead of saying, how can I be of service to this person, bringing him into a relationship where he or she can be nurtured to be actually more of value to the church. So serving together in ministry is something we need to do. Duty of care. Some of you may have heard of this in the workplace setup. And we don't think of it much in the church setup. A general description of duty of care is to do everything reasonably practicable to protect others from harm. Here, I want to just pause and share with you an experience. A number of years ago, probably over 20 years ago, I think I was still dating my wife. I'm not too sure. We decided to attend an event, a Sabbath rally at a community. It wasn't a community hall, it was a hall that they used for drama and performances. And so it was a you know a building that was used for that purpose. Very well established place. On our arrival, we saw that they were busy working, or they did some work in the building. And I was still young. I was not in the ministry yet. But this one thing caught my eye, and that was in front stood a scaffold. I think they were working on the ceilings. In front of this building, when I say in front, next to the podium, stood an upright a scaffold about 4, 5, 6 levels high, because they needed to reach the ceiling, probably fixing lights or painting or whatever. But that scaffold was standing there without any security, without any barriers, without any warning on it. And it immediately caught my eye. However, because I have not had any interest in safety and security and all of that, it never really registered. However, the organizers of this rally was also not clued up as to duty of care. And so while we were getting ready to start Sabbath Kung, some people came in already and found their spots, their places, mostly elderly folk, but it was a youth rally. And you know, as youth, we're always late to our own rallies. So people were coming in slowly, but surely. And then all of a sudden, there was a commotion. I think I was outside at that time in the parking area. I heard this big commotion and people shouting. And this, wow, I thought, wow, have we, I thought it was Acts chapter 2 happening where the Holy Spirit came down, but it wasn't that kind of shouting. it was it was shouts of fear, shouts of desperation. That scaffolding fell down. Somebody may have touched it, somebody may have pushed it, but it came down crashing onto the worshippers sitting in the pews. Sad to say, one person died that Sabbath morning because we did not take every reasonable step, practicable step to protect others from harm. It is vital. In my ministry, I was, I think, the senior youth director for the conference. I went to visit a church. When I got to the church, I saw that they were busy within our conference. They were busy with construction, where they had a number of pallets of brick on top of each other, open trenches for the foundation, and heaps of sand, on one side. And when I got there, to do a safety presentation, by the way, all the adults were inside and the children were playing outside by themselves on sand. Sand can cave in and smother their child. The bricks can just fall over and crush whoever. They can fall into those trenches and hurt themselves. So oftentimes we as a church think we don't have to have proper lighting in our churches, have proper barriers when it comes to our steps, have even those handlebars next to our steps for the elderly that may slip and fall on our steps. We have none of those in our churches, and we think we are safe. Duty of care applies equally to buildings, kitchens, car parks, and to all people in our congregation. So it's not just the baptized ones that needs to be looked after. It's your visitor that sets foot. It is the guy who comes in and asks for direction, or the person walking by that you invite to come and eat a meal. They are all covered under this. Our duty of care does not end when our program is over. Rather, it applies to all people from the time the gates of the parking area is unlocked and the building is opened until the last person is gone and everything is locked up. Our care does not end when the program is over. And you think I can get into my car and bolt. No, it ends only when the very last person leaves your building and your program. From a congregational perspective, there is an expectation that those in leadership will be diligent in discharging their duty of care by ensuring those leaders, those leading programs, you and I leading programs, have been recruited, have been screened, have been appointed, have been inducted, and are supervised appropriately. Who's supervising you? Have you been screened? Have you been appointed properly? Have you been inducted to say, we expect from you 1, 2, 3. We need you to know that you are responsible for 4, 5, and 6. Have you been inducted properly? Those that are leaders in our church, they need to make sure that every person leading out have gone through these steps and are properly screened. Safe spiritually, emotionally, and physical ministry environments are provided. Complaints or allegations are addressed according to good practice. What I mean by that is, Pastor Africa, as there is an allegation, he touched Sister so-and-so. Because it's Pastor Africa, the whole touching thing is moved under the carpet. It is swept under the carpet. because it's Pastor Africa and he's just a friendly guy, you know, he loves to hug, he loves to. Guys, leaders, pardon me, be careful. When there is a complaint, don't just brush it off. Don't just ignore it. Sometimes, yes, complaints are frivolous, but no matter how frivolous, please give it your attention. If you do not know, speak to your director at church. If the director is unsure what to do, speak to your conference leader. But somehow you need to address it. Make sure you take complaints or allegations serious. So from a congregational perspective, because you've been appointed as leader, there is an expectation that you will discharge your leadership in the proper or right manner. Transparency and accountability. Transparency in ministries relates to the practice of being willing and able to show others how you are caring for people. Being transparent means not only doing the right things, but it's also being seen to do the right thing. Friends, this is important. We have to be transparent in everything we do. We have to be transparent. I received a call one day from a pastor. Pastor, can you help me? I said, yes, please go ahead. Brother so-and-so, who is the director at the church, local church, have been taking some of the ambassadors home in his car. I said, okay, nothing wrong with that. Sometimes they do need a ride. However, he has been overly friendly with them, and before he will drop them, he will usually start touching and hugging and all of that, all in the name of being a good Samaritan, a good leader. So I asked, okay, have this been discussed with brother so-and-so? Yes, the pastor said to me. I said, okay, so did you go to the parents of these youngsters and inform them that there has been a challenge? No, said the pastor, because I thought if I could handle it with brother so-and-so, this will disappear, or he will repent, or get some sense, and it will just disappear on its own. I said to the pastor, we always have to practice transparent leadership, and we always have to be accountable for those that God has placed in our care. Please do me a favor, go to the parents and inform them, because these children or these young people came to you and informed you. Go and speak to their parents, since they also need to be part of the decision making. And so he went and spoke to the parents. The one parent said, no, they know the director, he's just being friendly, so they're not worried and taking it serious, which is their prerogative. They can do that. However, your responsibility as leader doesn't stop with the parents. It goes back to that person that came to you. So I said, Pastor, you go back to that young person and informed him or her about the outcome of your discussions, and then we can take it further. So I'm sharing this to illustrate that there needs to be a process of transparency and a process of accountability. Oftentimes, we try to hide things that shouldn't be hidden. Oftentimes, we try to downplay things that shouldn't be downplayed. So transparency and accountability is very serious. Let's look at the legal and insurance implications. Growing demands on churches to comply with safety regulations, legislation around child protection, and insurance requirements for just discharging our duty of care make it important that we have a quality policy and procedure for church safety. If I have to ask you, how many of you know your local church safety policy? I know not many of you will be able to answer me, because many of our churches do not have safety policies. They wait on the conference to come up with safety policies. So here it is. First of all, currently, there are plans afoot from the legal side of our government to make sure that churches comply. You remember the time when people were giving doom or were sprayed with doom, they were giving grass to eat and all of that. So all of these things are outside the ambit of a safe church. So here we are. Government is seeking for any excuse to clamp down on churches where safety rules and regulations are flaunted. So, dear friends, if we want to make sure that our church remains relevant, remains visible within our communities, we need to make sure that people can enter the people who enter our premises are relatively safe from harm, from abuse, from any injury that can be prevented. And so at one of our camp meetings, I did a walkabout at Sedaven, and I highlighted certain areas after my assessments that needs to be addressed. For instance, the walkway wasn't straight. It had wobbles in it, and any person walking there, any child walking there, any young person, any elderly person can misstep and fall when they have to mitigate those wobbles. Well, the church didn't listen to me. At one of our camp meetings, a lady fell, she broke her arm. The church had to pay her out for her medical and various other things. Because they did not listen, only after the event, they then went and straightened out all the walkways at the venue. It is vital that we make sure there are proper safety regulations. How many of your churches have fire extinguishers? How many of you know where those fire extinguishers are? How many of you know how to use those fire extinguishers? How many of you know whether those fire extinguishers have been serviced, within the time frame they need to be serviced? Legislation around child protection. It is vital that you know the legislation around child protection, what you can and cannot do, what you should and shouldn't do. It is vital that we update ourselves on these things, and even get the church to have regular programs on legislation around child protection. It oftentimes they bring out changes to a specific law, and it's vital that we know about it. Then insurance requirements. Most of us know that our clubs must be insured, that our clubs, some of you don't even know that your name needs to be on that form. If you do anything within the church, within the ministry, you need to make sure that your church, your clubs, they have insurance. Because it's vital then that when you take people off campus, off church grounds, that there is insurance attached to your trip, insurance attached to your events, insurance. Please make sure of that. And I will show you later on some forms that you can download from the internet, as well as get from the SYL for your churches. And then for discharging our duty of care, it is important that we have quality policies. And this last one is something that I need to make sure that we understand. Policies, if you do not know what that policy should look like, you can ask your conference to send you a sample, and then you take that and you and you make it relevant for you at your local church. You contextualize that policy. Then legally, church congregations need to ensure that they discharge their duty of care, practice due diligence in relation to leaders. So the court will ask you, what did you do to make sure that the person you appointed as the elder, what did you do to make sure that that person is not a predator? What did you do? What processes did you put in place? Are free from violence and exploitation, foster people's health, development, and spiritual needs, things like self-respect and dignity, have a process for responding to grievances. What are the processes? When somebody comes to you, what are the processes in place at your local church, at your local conference? What are the processes in place when people come with grievances, with allegations of abuse or misconduct, including child protection and sexual harassment? So what are the processes that needs to be followed? And these are vital for you to know. Section 2, I have 4 sections, so I need to make sure that I don't talk too long on these sections, but our time seems to be good. I am still doing well. So section 2, protecting the vulnerable. We spoke about safe churches, safe spaces. Now we're looking at protecting the vulnerable. The module aim here is to develop an awareness. Okay, develop an awareness of understanding abuse and assault, responding to abuse and assault, legal and denominational procedures, and helping people protect themselves. Oh, I'm looking forward to this. Please watch this.
I am a child predator. That can be anyone, anywhere. I'm a stranger that lives in your neighborhood, member of your church, even a parent, a relative, friend of one of your school children. I may be a youth volunteer, a teacher, pastor. I look and act like others around me. I'm only a click away on the internet.
I'm a child predator. Many underestimate the number of female predators. And when we are caught, the courts are often lenient. You've seen the reports. We too are teachers, parents, church volunteers. Without a criminal record, we are hard to detect and find. Pay close attention. I'm not far away.
Many places make it easy for us to slip in. No background or reference checks, no 6-month rules that try to weed us out. No supervision rules or guidelines that prevent adults from being alone with children. On or off site, if I'm there, your child is at risk.
How is your security? Can you see everyone who enters your daycare center or school? Sabbath school teachers are usually too busy teaching their classes to be concerned with who might be lurking in their corners.
Think of a door without a window. A lot can happen there without anything ever being seen. These are doors I hate. I have to be extra cautious with this much visibility. Although nothing is impossible. We love covered windows. Makes everything so much easier. We just tell a child we need to talk to them in private for a moment. Close the door. No rules. No visibility.
Without good perimeter fencing, anyone can walk into your property. When there are neighboring woods, everything gets easier. Now there are new distractions. Think you can text and supervise children well at the same time? News reports say otherwise.
Probably wondering how old I was when I started. I was a bit of a bully on the playground. Nobody ever did anything. Take a look at the statistics sometime. Maybe be surprised. You get the point? I like churches. I like schools, camps, places without rules, anywhere with lousy security. Are you prepared to keep me out?
Scary. Very, very scary. Understanding abuse and assault. Abuse is a serious and complex problem. It often occurs in environments that are isolated and stressful and affects those who are most vulnerable. Abuse often occurs in situations where trust is involved by a person known to and trusted by the person who is being abused. And oftentimes it's not the stranger walking onto the church property. It is the brother that has been there. I've been to one church once, and I noticed that the elder of the church will allow these young kids to sit on his lap, not his kids. And the parents seem to be okay with it. The appearance of evil. Abuse happens often, according to statistics. It happens with people you know. And so we need to be very careful. And later on, allegations came out that the elder have been nurturing, grooming, touching some of the kids sitting on his lap. So we need to be careful, and I hope that we take this very serious, as it can become a problem within our churches. How do we respond to abuse? Anyone working with vulnerable people regularly may come face to face with what may be cases of abuse. However, when our limited knowledge of a situation is combined with factors that influence our perception, and I will speak about that, it can be difficult to be objective in our judgment. What are the factors that influence our perspective or perception? Oh, but he's been the elder of the church for 30 years. Oh, but he contributes to that department. He contributes. He's always there. He's always willing. She's always ready to help us. I can never see. She loves children. I can never see so-and-so being abusive. Factors that influence our perception. What will the church say? What will Radio 702 say about the church now? It's going to be all in the community. And what will the people think of us? Factors that will influence our perception. It can be difficult to be objective then. Self-care and protection. Identifying and responding to the risk of abuse is only one aspect of protecting people. Helping people grow in self-care and protection, to be confident with one's own body and emotions and the ability to make healthy decisions about their interactions with others and in self-awareness is a proactive and powerful tool in our fight against abusive situations. If we can teach our people to self-care and to protect themselves, what do I mean by that? Sorry. Help people with their self-esteem. Help people understand who they are in their own bodies. And it's often difficult when, especially, you have to deal with young people who often compares themselves with others. It is often difficult that, I did not get the body I wanted. I'm stuck with this, whatever blob God has given me. And that breaking down of self is important, is vital when we start addressing young people, when we start addressing congregations on self-care and protection. Those young people who often put themselves down, who often think nothing of themselves, have no self-worth, they are often prime candidates of abuse, and the predator can smell them, I promise you. So, and that was shortly the area of self-care. Safe leaders, section 3. This module aims at developing awareness, and you need to know the union and the division, as well as the World Church, only put this as the introduction to church safety planning and insurance. So from here, we still need to develop further resources in order to address each of these issues in detail and in depth. This module aims to develop awareness of the rationale between the need for safe recruiting practices, the need for ongoing supervision and training of leaders, a leadership code of conduct, and who they need to talk to, write to, if they have a problem or complaint about or as a leader. The right type of people. The church needs safe leaders. The church needs safe leaders. I need to ask you, SYL, are you safe leaders for the church? Leaders who respect other people's boundaries, have other people's best interests at heart, who are led by God and are in accountable and transparent teams. It is vital that we are accountable to someone else in leadership within the church. It's important that we work with a transparent team, that you can trust the youth team, you can trust the deacons, you can trust the PM team that you are a part of. Appointment, nominating committee, and it's been happening, of the local church is the vehicle through which an accountable and transparent appointment process is followed, including the screening of leaders. If Pastor John or Brother John come visit the church, and Brother John says, but he is from Meadowlands Church, and he now wants to go to Blessed Hope Church, it is vital that leaders contact Meadowlands Church and find out, look, we have Brother John here. He's been coming on a regular basis. Is there anything we need to know, about Brother John? And then the responsible elders will say, please be careful. Keep him away from 1, 2, and 3. Please keep an eye on him. Then it will be responsible, the responsibility of Blessed Hope Church to come and say to me, Brother John, we have spoken to the leaders of Meadowlands, and they've asked us to please be careful. And so for that reason, we are going to make sure that every time you come to church, you will have I don't want to call it a buddy, but you will have somebody that will accompany you while you're at church. It's within the rights, within the ambit of the law within our country to buddy Brother John up with a responsible person at your church, in order to make sure that I'm not alone in certain areas or not alone with vulnerable people. So we need to put a nominating committee together that will be responsible to look for leaders that are eligible, and not because we're desperate and because we leave the youth club, the youth ministries for last. Now we're struggling to find somebody that can lead the youth ministries, and then any name now is up for grabs. Any name is eligible. It doesn't work like that. We need to make sure that we have the screening processes in place. Brother John has been here for a year. He's been active in 1, 2, and 3. However, we have this challenge. We have that challenge. And that needs to be ventilated within these meetings. Support and accountability for leaders. In addition to careful appointments, it is also important that leaders are supported to fulfill their role. Don't just appoint somebody and leave them hanging, not giving them a proper structure as to how to lead, give them proper tools to lead with. This includes adequate ministry support for leaders, a commitment to develop your leaders, a clear set of boundaries. Leaders, you are not allowed to do 1, 2, and 3. I wish we can do away with some of the habits we have in our local church. It can lead to areas of abuse. A well-communicated process for conflict resolution and complaints handling. Oftentimes, our leaders do not know how to handle conflict. Our leaders do not know how to handle complaints because they've never been taught. So it is vital for the church when we appoint, vital for you in your ministry, when you appoint leaders, make sure that you help them understand that how they deal with conflict and how they deal with complaints. Responding to misconduct. When misconduct issues arise in leadership, we need to be prepared to deal with them appropriately and manage them. Don't be scared. Even if it's the pastor, don't be scared. Need to know how to deal with it appropriately and how to manage it. Being prepared includes the provision of a fair and just procedure for handling allegations of misconduct, one that allows for natural justice, also called procedural fairness. And when people will review you handling the case, they will look for procedural fairness. I've been called by the conference on many occasions to go and mitigate, to go and mediate between pastors and church members, between churches and pastors. I've done that on many occasions. And so helping the process to be a fair process helps, so that when people review your work, they can say, but no, our leader has applied all the necessary rules to move this forward. So when you respond to misconduct, please respond in a fair but just and a quick manner. Don't let it wait for a year for you to respond, because that is also the frustration. So now somebody has complained that I have laid hands, or I have said something, racially inappropriate or sexually inappropriate to someone. Don't wait a year to address it. Please come to me as soon as possible. John, we heard that 1, 2, and 3 happened. Please share with us your side of the story, but we need to deal with it as soon as possible. So when there is misconduct, deal with it appropriately. Okay? So you need to have those procedures in place. Procedural fairness requires the person, the subject of allegation, John, is informed of the allegations. You have touched Sister Bella. You have said X to brother so-and-so. You have made this comment. You have done this to this child. Made the allegations known. Don't beat around the bush. The person, the subject of the allegation, is provided with reasonable opportunity to put forward their case, either in writing or at a hearing or otherwise. So give me the opportunity to also share. Yes, I have said that in response to 1, 2, and 3. Yes, I have done that, and that was my reason. So give them, even if you think there's no way John can have a reason for being, for what he did, give me that opportunity. Because at a court hearing, they will want to know if I was treated fairly through the processes of the church. It also requires a reasonable inquiry of relevant evidence supporting and refuting that allegation is considered. Those deciding a case have no conflict of interest. So it cannot be that the person deciding is connected to me, that the person deciding is an employee of me, the person deciding is a colleague of mine. So please be careful how you also look at that. They act fairly without bias and conduct the investigation without undue delay. Okay, don't, and our church is so prone, we known for this, where we delay stuff because everything goes through a committee, and committees, as you know, yeah, even though Spirit of Prophecy says it is a good, an excellent system, it has its own flaws. So yes, please be aware of that. Section 4, as we come to the close of our session. The pastor did say hour 45 minutes, but I will be shorter than that. Safe programs. This module aims to develop awareness of a formal process for gaining approval for ministry, management of risks in ministry programs, responding to incidents, and strategies for maintaining a safe church environment. Yeah, sorry for environment there. So safety in programs. Safe programs are transparent and accountable in relation to both procedure and relationships. Okay? A safe program ensures that both the physical and emotional environments are safe. I attended a program once of a youth group, and this is the program, this is the game. At one of the game evenings, this is the game they played. They asked this young girl, they blindfolded this young girl, put her in the middle of the group. Then they had her kiss something. And when she opens, or when they take off the blindfold, they had this young man standing, pulling up his zipper. When I saw the game, I asked the leader, are you for real? Do you know what that can do, even though you guys gave her an apple to kiss? Because I was there. But the impression that child or young lady will have in her mind that she was doing something inappropriate. So a safe program ensures that both the physical and emotional environments are safe. And oftentimes when we develop or plan these programs, we often only think of the physical and hardly of the emotional environment. Physical environments provide safe physical environments is essential. Providing safe physical environments is essential if attendees are to participate in activities and grow to their full potential. If you decide to take your children to go zip lining, make sure it's a safe environment. To go rock climbing, make sure it's a safe environment. Consider health and safety, first aid. If somebody falls, do you have, if you are doing a skateboarding thing, do you have enough first aid bandages or whatever? Transportation, food, supervision, age-specific issues, managing high-risk activities. If you go swimming, make sure you have people that can swim that will be going with you to supervise. We did a swimming honor once for the master guides, and actually 80% of those doing the master guides couldn't swim. Imagine they had to have the beginner swimming that you do in friend class. They couldn't even do the beginner swimming, but they're doing master guides. Now you have to take those master guides to go with you on a camp where there is a pool, and they need to supervise children within the water or within the pool. They themselves can't swim or help themselves. So you have to be careful how you plan your physical environments, emotional environments, to ensure that people are safe. The physical environment is only part of what must be considered. people's emotions and spiritual development can also be harmed. In fact, many more people leave the church due to emotional or spiritual harm done to them, intentionally or unintentionally, rather than a physical injury. I can break my leg while going on a hike. I'm not going to leave the church. But if there is an emotional or spiritual attack that I was not aware of, that will make me leave the church. So be careful of that. Responding to incidents. While we all hope that they will never happen, people do have accidents and there are emergencies. At these times, the health and safety of the person is of paramount concern, and it may be necessary for a leader to administer first aid to a person. It is vital that us as leaders, you as SYL, that you have level 1, level 2, and CPR first aid. It is vital. I did up to level 3, and it's still current. So it took about 5 days of training, but it's current. It's vital that we have first aid training, and it's relevant. It is current, because you never know when you may need it. So accidents do happen. It happens to the best of us, no matter how well we plan. Accidents may happen. Introduction to church safety planning and insurance. The forms, you have your local church action plan. That is something that you should work with the church. You have your local church safety policy, something that you need to have. The local church child safe policy is something that you need to have. Child safe code of conduct is something that's relevant to us. Screening forms and volunteer agreement forms is something we should have on file at our local churches. As leaders, parental and guardian permission and consent forms. Remember, as you take young people to and from the church, please make sure that you have the consent of the parents. Then SAU and conference annual insurance forms, mostly to do with our club ministries, site assessment and safety forms. Please, I'm sharing all of these with you so you can tick it off to see what you have and what you don't have. Transport assessment forms. How many of you, when you transport your children, make an assessment of the vehicles, of the drivers, of the people that's actually taking your children or your youth away from the venues? Venue assessment. When you do programs, do you assess the venues that you are going to use? And then supervision assessment. How many people do you have to supervise? What is the ideal ratio, supervision ratio? So you need to come to terms with that, and then say, okay, if it's for every 7 children, you need to have a supervisor. For every 8 young people, every 12 young people, you need to have a supervisor. So you need to work that out as leaders. So annual insurance forms, your renewal application guidelines by the conference, by the local church, your international Pathfinder application forms, and then your international Pathfinder insurance form with ARM. So this is what it will look like. That one, the one on my left, you're right, is the guidelines for conference youth directors. Then you have the guidelines for local church Pathfinder and youth leaders, and it will tell you exactly what you need to do. And I would like to just share this short video in conclusion with you. It is from ARM, Adventist Risk Management, and I find them very informative, and I often consult them whenever I need anything to do with insurance and church. For those of us who may not know. Dear friends, as I conclude, there are there are fantastic resources available on the ARM website. Our church has been blessed with individuals who excel in the area of church safety, of policy development, of making sure that we have all the tools available. And so so it is vital that we make use of these people, make use of the resources we have. If you're not sure, reach out to people that can help. Because it is vital that you and I show that we have done everything in our power to make sure that those that are under our care are protected, are safe, are invited into a relationship that will help them to grow, to nurture them, and make sure that they don't walk away from this church harmed by individuals within the church. And with that, I thank you. I pray that God will bless you as leaders. I pray that you will continue to edify yourself, that you will continue to look for ways to make our church a safe space for those that attend. God bless you, and I thank you.
Thank you very much, Pastor Africa, for this wonderful presentation and for availing yourself to assist our leaders of the youth in TOC. This presentation is it's going to go a long way. We've been looking for such, but to have someone like you who was willing to help a colleague, we really appreciate you. I don't think I'm the only one who's appreciative, but all 80 members or so who are here, and for being so open and saying to us, if you've got questions that you would love to ask, we are free to do so, to show the transparency in everything that you were presenting for us. We really appreciate it. I'm not quite sure if they've got few questions, one or two. If not, we will bid farewell to this presentation of ours, and I will share other things with them before we can leave. If there's nothing, just give them a few minutes and check if they want to ask questions pertaining what we're presenting.
No problem. I actually just posted the presentation that I did on the chat, and as I said, I will send it to you, Pastor. And yeah, if there are any questions, I'm here, and I hope I will be able to help and to share with you.
Let's check.
So far, nothing, Pastor.
Yes, I think they are just appreciative. They are happy that the presentation was very informative. So they are appreciative, and It's just
There's a question here, Pastor. In a situation where you've been told about a particular individual who is a pedophile, how do you tackle the situation? Do you work on hearsay or do you do your own research? May I just quickly answer that one?
no problem, Pastor.
So within the government, or sorry, within our country, all pedophiles or sexual abusers have to be registered. So it is your prerogative as a church to write to the Department of Social Development. There is a form 29 and form 30. The church board can complete form 30 to say, look, we have a man named John Africa at our church. Can you confirm whether he or she is on the sexual offenses register? So all offenses, sexual offenses, are registered within with the department. And if my name is attached, they will come back and say, look, John has been registered. So then now you can continue doing your own research. You can come to John and say, look, we have made inquiries and your name appears on the sexual offenses register. So as a pedophile, a registered pedophile, we will from now on make sure that you are supervised while at the church. It is within your right. If it's just an allegation, it is best to come and say, look, John, there has been allegations of you being a pedophile, and then you can mention these allegations. And number one, when you were at church so-and-so, this is what you did. At church so-and-so, that is what you did. In that environment, that is what you did. We are going to, as a precautionary measure, we are going to, we are not pushing you away. We are not showing you the door. We are going to say to you, you will not find yourself alone in the presence of children. Number one. Number two, you will be supervised while on this premises. Now, as John, I can go on the defensive or I can say, thank you. Guess what? I prefer watching church online every Sabbath. So I'm also open to do that. So yes, there are many ways, but don't, if the allegation comes, don't just sweep it under the carpet, deal with it, and then see where it leads. There is a hand up.
Thank you. There's Nzwaki Emo wants to ask a question. I can see the hand there. Nzwaki, over to you, please.
Unmute, Nzwaki.
Nzwaki, are you with us?
There is another question while we wait on Nzwaki. To what age do you have to get parents' consent? Consent is anybody under the age of 18.
Thank you.
Oh, Mzwaki said, I can't unmute, unfortunately. May this presentation be repeated again physically, no Zoom, and invite all junior youth and senior youth leaders. So informative. It's up to your director.
I think Miss Nancy Mahato, this is a very good plea. We will find a way to do it. We're not going to neglect it. The reason why we ended up doing it here, I just want to say also thank you to people who structured this SYL program for us to especially for senior youth. I know that we always miss out on this, but we'll find a way of doing such presentation for all our districts. I know it's very important. So her plea is noted.
Thank you. Zwaki, if you can type your question, it will be good. But otherwise, all is well. All is well on my side. If yeah, the director can make arrangements for that. Okay.
Yes, that will be done, no problem.
Pastor, I thank you. I thank you for this wonderful opportunity, and even for the men and women on our Zoom platform. Thank you for allowing me to speak to you, taking your time to go through this. I truly appreciate, and every time I share it, I feel that I'm empowering people to go and do likewise. So may God bless the Trans Orange, the senior youth leaders. May God keep you in His care, and may you be an asset, not just to yourself, but to the work of the local church. Zwaki said, I wanted to ask how we could go about making sure that our local churches have the forms you spoke about. So what I'm going to suggest you do is to actually look at all those forms. And then if the local church do not have them, you can inquire from the board, from the elder. If the local church do not have them, they on the ARM website. All the forms are there. You can actually download them and hand it to them and say, look, we need to make sure that we have all of these things in place, and then you can take it from there. So thank you so much, Anzwaki. There's another hand there, my pastor.
I think on my side, I'm seeing Gobes. Let's have one or two so that, Pastor, you can have your time. I think I'm seeing Mbalenhle Ngobese. This is a hand. Another thing that they're asking for, Pastor Blessed Sibanda is asking, can you please share the response form? Sorry, I have missed it.
Okay, I am.
Another thing that I will do, as Pastor Africa said earlier on, every information that you have missed, all these documents that we believe are needed, is going to send them to me, and then I will surely send them to our assessor so that everyone can have them.
I actually
if you miss
just
them out here, don't be despair.
I just posted them again, the safety outline and the worksheet, but I will send it to you as well, Pastor, so you can have that.
Thank you, Mirud. Mbali, are you asking the question before we let the pastor go?
How do you draw the line as a leader? I'm not, Gobisi, I don't understand when you ask how, as a leader, draw the line for what? Can you just give me one or two more? Just clarity on that question. How do you draw the line as a leader? For me, it's easy. When I am confronted with any challenge, I take it on head on. If there is a pastor that is a problem, I confront the pastor. If it's a church member, I confront the church member. So yeah, where do I draw the line? When I know it is no longer, it is now out of my hands. So when I, as a leader, you as an SYL leader, have a complaint, receive a complaint, you deal with a complaint up till a certain level. You take it to the elder take it to the leader, to the pastor take it to the conference. So that is the steps. These are the steps that you will continue to follow. But somehow you also have to draw the line to say, look, I have done everything I can to help this situation. Now I need more help. So you can make that decision anytime. I hope I was clear on that. 257.
We are left with 2 minutes, Pastor. We are left with 2 minutes. Yes, 257 has raised the hand. 257.
Okay.
Over to you.
Just type, just.
Or you can just type, yes. Two, 5, 7.
Oh, it's quite long. Okay.
Okay.
Well, please let us have it, and then we can see if we can answer you back. But Pastor, thank you so much. God bless.
Okay, thank you. Also, let me, while 257 is typing, I'm not sure what's happening with you not being able to unmute. But nonetheless, I also want to
God bless. Thank you.